Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. For those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your support. Your subscriptions mean the world to me. It's a great way to support the channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel in that way, please feel free to go over to patreon.com and search Engelgeist. Over there, you will see that there is different levels of subscription, and depending on which one you choose, all of them you receive the daily forecast a day early. But on some of the higher priced ones, you get different readings that are available every month over there. At the very highest level, you do get a free charming every month on once a month on any Sunday of your choosing during charming nights. So that's available to you. This is a broad spectrum reading for the greater collective, therefore it's for anybody who intends to see it or who's watching it. It's originally set for the date of Monday, December 28th. It is not only for that date though. I believe that Spirit or our own higher self has ways of finding us the information we need through synchronistic action. So if you're seeing this on a date that's not Monday, December 28th, don't worry. You might actually need to be seeing it during the time that you're watching it, because it's, for the highest good of the greater collective. So it may be for your highest good at this time versus when it was originally created. Now, that being said, if anything does make sense or it does apply to your life, it is a broad spectrum reading. So some of the definitions are a little bit more on the vague side so that they're able to reach more people, over the course of time. I keep them intentionally that way. Please feel free to utilize them in whatever way you need to support and validate you. But also keep aware that any decisions you make after watching any of my videos in your day-to-day life are your responsibility. So that's very important. Always use your own intelligence and intuition first and foremost when making those decisions. And never take anything that I say over that of a professional in their field, like a doctor, a lawyer, a therapist. Always listen to those people first and foremost. Beyond that, if anything doesn't make sense, or you're watching this video and you're like, you know what, this doesn't fit in my life, I don't understand what he's talking about, that's completely fine. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong or broken or that you're on the wrong path or anything like that. It just might mean that you may be working on something different at this time than the greater collective. So don't, let that bother you in any way. If you have any questions for me about private readings or anything like that, you can certainly send me those questions privately at the Facebook business page. If you're watching on YouTube, please go over and like and follow the Facebook business page, and vice versa. If you're watching on Facebook somewhere, feel free to go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please share out these videos. I can't stress enough how much of a help that is when people share these videos out so that other people can see them and find out that I'm doing this work. I also enjoy it when people hit the thumbs up button. For the amount of ratio of watches to thumbs up is really key. So if I'm getting 20 views per video and only 9 people are hitting like, then I'm only doing about a 50% ratio, right? YouTube isn't going to necessarily push my video out to other people to see it if they don't think that people are enjoying the video. So I know that there's about 20 to 30 of you that watch daily. That number ebbs and flows, but I only average about half of the people hitting the like button. It doesn't take much to just press that button if you're enjoying the video. If you're not, then, that's fine too. You don't have to press it. I don't want anybody out there lying in the world. But I do want to say, for those of you that come in regularly and watch regularly, a great way to support me is by just hitting that thumbs up and saying, I believe in this guy's work, because then YouTube sees that I have a very high thumbs up ratio to the amount of views that I'm getting. So then they start to show my video to other people that might be interested in watching it. So that's just my little spiel. I need to get more on that. I'm trying to figure out ways to get you guys to actually do that. So I'm just going to be more expressive and asking for that at this time. Again, if it's something that you don't like or that you're not enjoying, you can certainly hit the thumbs down button. But to me, that's just kind of rude, and why even come around at that point? Because if you don't like me, there's certainly plenty of other readers out there that you could enjoy. So let's get into this reading and see what we need to know for this week or for this day. We've had yesterday's weekly reading go up, which is it doubles as both Sunday's reading plus also the underpinning energy of the week. So that all bodes well from yesterday's reading. So I will be talking about some of those cards, and that will be linked in the bottom, I believe, left-hand side of the screen once this video ends, if you have missed the Sunday reading. So that will help to make more sense as to what I'm talking about too. But again, these are timeless, so utilize them when you see them first and foremost. All right, so let's get into this. What do we need to know? Oh my God, you guys, with this Ten of Swords. I don't know how many different ways I can describe this card. You know what I'm going to do today? This card is like haunting us at this point. It is. We saw it on the 18th of this month. We saw it again on the 23rd, which was what, 4 days later. We saw it again 2 days after that on the 25th, and then we saw it again on the 27th, which was the first day of this week's forecast. So we've got double down Ten of Swords at the beginning of this week, essentially. I am reading this card to you guys today out of the book because apparently there's a message here that I don't think I am either conveying correctly, or you guys are wanting to hear, or the struggle is real. And that's okay if you are struggling. There's nothing wrong with that. This is definitely like sort of wanting to be seen, heard, paid attention to. So I'm going to actually read today's definition of this card, because sometimes the definitions in this particular deck are slightly different. So there's obviously something that I'm either not conveying, or we're not seeing, or we're really wrestling with. So let's read the Ten of Swords this morning, because we just saw this card yesterday and 2 days before, and then another 2 days before that, and then another 4 days before that. So this card is a definite theme for the end of the year for us. Now, I will say this, swords is the element of air and the mind, thought. It can be about writing. It can be about documents, that sort of a thing. The intellect. The tens also offer completion cycles, usually with ourselves and those around us, usually completions with situations or within our environment, with others within our environment, where it's done. And the Ten of Swords is generally depicted through kind of like this symbology of defeat, right? Like we've been served up a hard fight in essence. So let's see what this particular deck has to say about this card, because this card is back and it wants to be seen. So, Ten of Swords, story time. Keywords: endings, betrayal, hurt, loss, economic hardship, pain, disappointment. The Ten of Swords is a card of ending, the end of a cycle, the end of a relationship or business, the end of a way of being. The end may be a needed one, or one that you are trying to avoid. That's sort of the resistance that I always talk about with this card, where it's a more painful process if we try and hold on longer than we should. And usually, as a rule with the Ten of Swords, we've already hung on too long. That's not in the reading. That's just my own personal interpretation, guys. It often indicates failure, disaster, pain, separation, or depression. You may be able to alter the course of this impending disaster, but in many cases, you just have to let go and take the hit. And it's a hard one, but focus on your inner strength and the things and people in life that can pull you through. The image I drew for this card is painful for me to look at. The wounded animal seems so alone. I can almost picture him laying in the snow without even the comfort of trees around him. Oftentimes, our darkest periods must be passed through alone. If this card comes up in conjunction with the Hermit, this can be especially true. If this card manifests in the past position, consider a time in your past when things were dire, a bad breakup, a betrayal, a crushing loss. Think about ways in which past heartbreak is affecting your current life and decisions. No matter where this card appears, remember that rock bottom is often the very place where we start our own triumphant climb. Keep your head up, dear Querent. This too shall pass. The Ten of Swords is most ominous in the future position. If you see this card in a spread with the Tower, prepare for some truly rough times ahead. The Strength card will bring balance to the Ten of Swords, reminding you that you have what it takes to go through difficult times and emerge triumphant. Has the Judgment card appeared in this reading? The Judgment and Ten of Swords combo can be a strong indication that you should persevere in your current course of action, even though you feel like it might kill you. There are some things in life, relationships, professional and educational goals, physical goals, that have a high price and push the limits of what you think you can endure, but the payout is worth the suffering. You cannot summit the mountain if you don't make the climb. Like all of the tens, this card often represents the end of a cycle, and sometimes that can be bittersweet but good. For example, graduating from college or moving away from a place where you have been happy in order to pursue a new opportunity. Other times, the end of a cycle is painful, unexpected, and harsh. This could mean heartbreak, financial loss, or even the passing of a loved one. Sometimes, when reversed, the card speaks of an end that you are reluctant to face or accept, an inevitable loss that must occur before you can move forward on your journey. But even at its most negative, the Ten of Swords is part of the Fool's journey. Seek the guidance and support you need to pass through this time without breaking. The correspondences are numbers 10, 1, and 64. The associated birthdays would be November 15th to November 24th. And the associated plants are ephedra and wormwood. To me, when I look at this, though, and I understand exactly what she's expressing, it is a fight or a battle that, like, when I look at this elk, it feels like this elk has been battling this or struggling with this, resisting it, holding on to something for far too long. I feel like the reason why we're seeing this Ten of Swords over and over again is whatever you guys might be wrestling with, and each one of you will be wrestling with something different. I feel like you may have a hard time letting it go. That's sort of the struggle that I feel in this Ten of Swords. But the beauty is the 10 is like, it's a completion cycle. It's coming to an end. We need to kind of take, I've said this on previous days when we've seen this card, we need to take a personal inventory, a mental inventory on our thoughts, our situation as it is, see it as it is, no matter how painful it may be, and be willing to sort of let ourselves up from underneath the pressure of whatever that may be, the pain of whatever that may be, to start like sort of a new journey, having learned the lesson, right? Having had the experience, been through it. Ultimately, you will become stronger for it, even though while you're in it right now, it may not feel that way, because the struggle is sort of real, fresh, whatever. And sometimes when I look at this too, I feel like us trying to make sense out of a situation that otherwise there's no real sense to be made from it. It's just like we're almost like spinning our wheels or wasting our time trying to figure out, well, why did they treat me this way? Why didn't they, do this instead of that? It's almost like, to me, sometimes this card can indicate also like us taking on the blame for the mishaps or the failures of others, right? Like say we have a partner that treats us like shit for many years and we never understand why, and we keep going back to said partner in an effort to try and not only make sense of the entirety of the situation, but also sort of seek that validation through somebody that just can't give it to us. And so what ends up happening is this strong, beautiful animal, right? This elk, which would be representational of us, gets just battered upon every sort of reattempt. And so I really feel like this Ten of Swords is about like, let's just start a new chapter. We've got 2021 coming. Let's do it. Like, stop. And I hate to be so frank and direct, but I'm going to be. Let's stop wallowing in our shit and move on. And the honest truth is, to me, is that we're not even, I feel like this is not even our stuff that we might be wallowing in. It's the memory. That's each of the arrows and swords that is sticking in this elk. It's like the memories, the confusion, the sort of upset that we feel from stuff that's ultimately in our past. We can't change it anyway. And when it's a card this severe, and I hate to be so dark so early in the morning, but my feeling is when it's a lesson or situations that are this severe and obvious, there's no making sense of them anyway. Like, even if we had sense of them, or we were like, oh, I can understand why they treated me this way, it's not going to lessen the wince of the pain of the experience. And truthfully, the pain of the experience is really not only what educates us, what evolves us, what makes us more emotionally intelligent, mentally intelligent, more adept, more skilled. It ultimately makes us stronger, both in, our character, in our knowledge base as to what we deserve, what we'll put up with, all of that. So if we can get to that place of, although it may be painful, it serves a purpose, it is a gift on some level, that's when we're able to sort of stand back up and walk away from this. And those of you, the aloneness that she includes in her definition of this is rather beautiful, because it's like, remember, it may feel like we are alone, and that also adds to that sort of pain or that struggle, but we don't have to stay alone. And I just want to say that too to you guys. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward. Let's see what the Song of My Heart has to say and see where it might chime in on this Ten of Swords energy. There's definitely something that we're letting go of, guys, that needs to go. And it's like, I feel like this Ten of Swords is like really hammering it home for those. Oh, Jesus. Okay, we just saw this yesterday too. My intuition guides me. I have no doubt that my inner self will voice the perfect decision for me. We have purity of this white feather. We have spirit represented in this white feather. It's sort of ephemeral. It's sort of not, it's the way that I look at this. I love this card. It's probably my favorite card of the deck, because feathers to me are how do I want to say this? Like messages sort of from the other side, or from our higher self, sometimes from our angels or from God. Even they can come from our own higher self and be placed in our path. To me, they're physical and can be touched, but they're so light and airy and ephemeral. It's like sort of where the physical meets the spiritual in a way. And so when I look at this, it's like there is this sort of guidance that's within us. There's this intuition that I talk about in the beginnings of each of my videos, where I say, allow your intelligence and your intuition to guide you. We have that kind of at work here today. The Ten of Swords would represent more the intelligent side of things. Yes, albeit a bit painful. This beautiful white feather would represent the more intuition side of things. Blending the two of these together and allowing the intuition or the softer, more subtle voices within ourselves to guide us through whatever we may have been struggling with. And this struggle could be years for some of you, right? This struggle could be something that you've known about and battled against, or tried to resist, or tried to make excuses for a really long time, and it's just brought you nothing more than sort of more strife, more pain, more struggle. It's time to let it go. Become light like this feather. Allow your intuition to guide you away from whatever it is that's no longer like serving you, acknowledging you, validating you at this time. We saw both of these cards in yesterday's reading, so they're like here to double down on us. Let me look to the grounding stone. Okay. The grounding stone is on a really deep dark stone. I believe this is malachite. I could be wrong, but the green of this stone takes me straight to the heart chakra. The word is namaste, which means the God in me honors the God in you. When I look at this, there's also a gratitude to namaste. It's a greeting, or like a, it's sort of like how one greets one, and it represents this God in me, honors the God in you. But to me, when I look at this, I feel about us honoring who we are is really going to be important today. That also opens the door for this intuition or this softer, more subtle voice that is within us, this purer form of who we are from spirit, to kind of come in either through our heart chakra or through our emotional center and acknowledge some of the losses, some of the pain, some of the struggle. For some of you, this may just be simply the struggle of 2020 and what a hard year it's been for you. Right? This namaste is about sort of not only kind of giving thanks in a way, but also acknowledging who we are, what we've become, how we've gotten there, everything that we've done right along the way, and acknowledging sort of our higher self or the God that rests within us. Right? Yeah, yes, there's a religious God that most people worship, but there's also, a version of that religious God that lives within us in our higher self. When they talk about God made man in his image, I believe that's sort of what they mean, not to get too religious on you guys, but that soul connection that we have that we don't necessarily always access because we don't live in a society that necessarily allows us to slow down long enough to connect to that and have that dialogue with. That is the part of us that is our God essence, that comes directly from, say, our higher power or what we would deem God. That's the part of us that is made in his image. That's the part of us that if we allow that to intuitively guide us, it moves us away from the strife and the pain of the kind of crap that we have to deal with in the day-to-day world that is, those things educate us, right? They teach us, but do we really need them at this point? Like, it's sort of the question that I get with this. My intuition guides me, and this namaste stone, it says to me, maybe we don't. Maybe we have the answers within us, and we always have, and maybe now is the time to commit to making those changes, the shifts in perception, the shifts of intention or attention onto the parts of ourselves that might have a more steadier, calmer, perspective, intuitive perspective that will help to guide us, to keep us in that gratitude, to keep us understanding who we are, what we deserve, and empower us in a softer, more heart-centered way. It's 22:22 when I just finished that on the video. All right, that is your forecast for the day. I'm going to leave you guys with that one. Remember also the overall grounding stone for this week is hope. I have a really good feeling, even though we're seeing this Ten of Swords card again, I think that this is really about us shedding something that needs to go, and it's time to do so. And I think that we're seeing these beautiful sort of, my intuition guides me seeing this twice in 2 days. It's telling us connect into that quieter, softer, more truer voice of who we are. There is hope in that too. There is hope for a different world, hope for a different experience, hope for more joy, all of those things that we should be focused on at this time. And when we honor through this stone of Namaste, when we honor the God that is within us, it also allows us to see that God within others. Our relationships, our interactions, the purpose of our life becomes just so different. And so let's try and see what happens if we do that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you guys. This is your forecast. Please, if you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up. I would love to get my ratios of thumbs up to views more closely together, because I think that would greatly help YouTube to see that, wow, the majority of the people that watch these videos are enjoying them. Let's show them to other people. Please share this out to anybody who you think could use it. Subscribe to the channel if you feel so inclined. If you want a private reading, please feel free to message me at the Facebook business page. And I look forward to seeing where this week will continue to build tomorrow. Okay? Thank you so very much, you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and know that you have this. It's all within you. I swear to God it is. All right, have a great day, and I love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.